Get up in the morning, slaving for bread, sir, so that every mouth can be fed. Call me Israelites. Get up in the morning, slaving for bread, sir, so that every...
Now, I'm glad you mentioned Marcus Garvey, Taj. Didn't Marcus Garvey, his top soldiers, his generals, was Hebrew Israelites?
Yeah, and see...
We the Black Jews. This, I have a copy here, just came out Friday gone.
This is the update now, right?
This is an update of the original. Original was a pamphlet in Spanish, and I did it down in Puerto Rico. Nosotros Hebreos Negros. And this here I did in 1981, I think, and I rewrote it with this time with one cover, 2 volumes. I included this time the Hebrews of the Caribbean, Hebrews of West Africa, Hebrews of African America, and Hebrews from Africa, the quote-unquote Falashas, which is proper to Beta Israel.
And this is, Doc, we're saying the origin of this project then is 1939?
That's the origin of that project.
To look at the scripture again, because we are all the way through it from Genesis to Revelation. You think you're talking about white people? They in there now. Oh, they got a heavy role in there. You can't raise that kind of hell and God not give you your part. Come on now, let's see. Look, I would like to go in white churches and preach just like I'm preaching. Our father used to sing a song. Everybody talking about heaven ain't going there. Heaven, heaven. See, white folks talk all that heaven talk. How could you go to heaven lynching us? All right. How could you go to heaven raping us, kidnapping us, gerrymandering us, redlining us? How can you go to heaven with a racist mind that makes a people of God inferior in your eyes to justify the evil that you pour on them every day of their lives? How can you go to heaven like that?
And we've already discussed that the Bible is an ancient African history book. It is the history of a particular nation of people who were black people. The Israelites were black people originally before they were taken into captivity and mixed up like so many of us are mixed.
Is physically looking like the sons of Ham in appearance. Ham was one of Noah's 3 sons. Shem and Japheth were the other 2. Noah's descendants repopulated the earth after the Great Flood. Ham's descendants are traced to the families of Africa. Ham, Quam in Hebrew, means black, hot, and burnt. Ham had 4 sons: Cush, Ethiopians, Cushites, and Nubians; Mizraim, Egyptians, and Kemet; and Phut, ancient Somalia. All 4 of Ham's sons and their descendants settled in and around the continent of Africa. This includes the so-called Middle East, which is also part of the continent of Africa. Ham's sons are the people of the African continent, the ancient Egyptians, Ethiopians, Somalians, Canaanites, etc. The Israelites are descendants of Noah's son Shem through Abraham. He is the father of the Hebrew Israelite nation. Abraham is the father of Isaac. Isaac is the father of Jacob. Jacob had 12 sons, and these sons are the patriarchs of the Israelite nation.
Were the children of Jacob. Jacob had 12 sons. Jacob's name was changed to Israel because he had an encounter with an angel. Okay? In the land of Canaan, where they lived, there was a famine in the land of Canaan. One of Jacob's son, who was Joseph, which we call today Joseph, Joseph was sold as a slave into Egypt. Being a Hebrew Israelite, he served Yahweh. He trusted Yahweh because that's what he was brought up to love and serve Yahweh. He trusted Yahweh. And because while he was in Egypt, of his faithfulness to Yahweh, he won favor with Pharaoh and all the people of Egypt. And so when Pharaoh had a dream and could not interpret the dream, they called for Joseph. And Joseph came and he interpreted the dream, and he made it explicitly clear to the king that we're going to have some years of plenty, we're going to have some years of drought. He said, but you know, the years of plenty, if we take all that we harvest and store it up, we will have enough to take us through the lean years. And the king was so pleased, he said, Joseph, you're going to be in charge of all this, taking care of all this and see that this is done. And while Joseph was there, his brothers forgot all about him because they sold him. And their father didn't realize that Joseph was still alive, because they went home and lied to their father and said, a wild beast killed him. But Joseph, his heart, his mind, everything was serving Yahweh, and he won favor. And his favor is what caused him to be able to reunite with his father and his brothers. His brothers, when they came down to get food, Joseph immediately knew it was his brothers, but they couldn't recognize him. Why? Because he was now dressed in an Egyptian apparel. And I mean, they're black.
The world knows nothing about the real Jesus from the tribe of Judah, the Ethiopian who spoke Aramaic. According to Hebrews 7:14, the tribe of Judah, from whom whence Jesus, or Yeshua, his Hebrew name, came, is a dark-skinned nation of people. However, as Europe prospered, it presented the global world with a white Jesus around the time when the Bible was being translated from Hebrew to Greek to Latin to English. Revelation 1:14 clearly states, his head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. Jesus' head and hair were white like wool is merely referring to his hair texture. The only people on the face of the earth with hair of a woolly texture are known as those of the Negroid race, whose hair is in its natural state as like a wool of a lamb. If black people do not cut or comb their hair, it will eventually lock together and become woolly.
The word Jewish, the word Jew, was never and never is in the old original scriptures. As a matter of fact, again, if there's no J in the Hebrew alphabet, how could you get the word Jew or Joseph or Jeremiah or Jehovah? It's impossible. It's highly impossible, you see. But here is how the word Jew or Jewish came into being. If we go back and you see, everything that we say today is scripture-based. Everything is in scripture. It's sad that many of us have not gone into the research to really get the stuff. But it is recorded in scripture. And it says, if we go back to the book of Genesis, let me see if I could. In the book of Genesis chapter 10, okay, verse 21, it speaks about the genealogy, okay? There was, Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now, they said Japheth, but it's Japheth, okay?